Every place has its own unique traditions, but the customs of Arabia are truly extraordinary, unlike anywhere else in the world. The practices there often have hidden meanings that can leave you amazed. My story is one such example. How I got married, became an Arab wife, and stumbled upon a shocking secret that changed everything. My name is Dana. After finishing my intermediate exams, I found myself with plenty of free time. At home, my two sisters-in-law handled all of the chores, leaving me with nothing to do. To pass the time, I turned to the internet, where I met an Arab man named Akiba on Facebook. I'd always heard that Arabs are wealthy and have unique customs, and Akiba was no exception. Living in Riyadh, he owned 3 gold shops and had a charming personality that stood out. Our casual chats on Facebook soon turned into private messages, and eventually we exchanged WhatsApp numbers. Akib's polite and respectful nature quickly won me over, but he sometimes asked questions that left me scratching my head. One day, during a conversation, he hesitated and said, "Dana, don't mind, but can I ask you something?" Amused, I replied, "Go ahead, just ask." His question caught me completely off guard. "Have you ever applied oil to your navel?" Surprised, I responded, "What kind of question is that? Why would I do that?" He then followed up with another strange query. "Have your sisters-in-law ever done it? They're married, aren't they?" I couldn't help but laugh and said, "Akib, what's gotten into you? Why would anyone do such a thing?" In a playful tone, he teased, "If you ever visit me, I'll explain everything." 40. His words left me speechless. How could I possibly meet him? After all, we were separated not just by cities, but by oceans. Akib often came up with questions that seemed strange to me, yet I enjoyed talking to him. 4 months into our friendship, Akib took me by surprise with a marriage proposal. I hadn't expected it at all. We had never met in person, but we shared pictures every day, which made the proposal feel like a dream. Akib was a wealthy man from Riyadh, while I was just a simple girl from Karachi. He was incredibly handsome, and I could hardly believe someone like him wanted to marry me. Before I could fully grasp what was happening, my sister-in-law discovered my late-night chats with Akib and told my brother. The next day, my furious brother confronted me and took away my phone before I even had the chance to respond to Akib's proposal. Everything changed in a moment, and my world felt like it was falling apart. I felt like a fish out of water. I had grown so used to Akib that I couldn't spend even a rest day without him. After losing my phone, I realized I had started liking him as well. Not even 2 days had passed when I sat at my brother's feet and, with great hesitation, told him everything about Akib and his wish to marry me. After hearing me, my brother angrily said, "I think you've lost your mind. Don't you know this is all just a ploy? These people make excuses like this to amuse themselves with foreign girls. He will take advantage of your innocence, spend some time with you, and then leave you to prey on another girl." I tried my best to convince my brother that Akib wasn't like other boys, but my brother was unwilling to listen. After much crying and pleading, my brother returned my phone, but strictly forbade me from ever talking to Akib again. However, how was it possible for two people in love to stay apart? That's why I called Akib and told him about my brother's anger. Akib said, "Let me talk to your brother myself. I'll handle the matter of our marriage." I was stunned. I had no idea what Akib planned to say to my brother or how my brother would react. Still, at Akib's insistence, I let him speak to my brother. To my surprise, Akiba managed to convince him to agree to our marriage. I don't know what he said, but over the phone, our nikah was performed. My brother made it clear, though, that he was agreeing only for my sake. He told me the responsibility for this relationship would be entirely mine. He also warned me that once Akibia took me with him, I would only be able to visit occasionally. Without my parents, my brother had always been my only support, and now Akib's love seemed to take even that away from me. Yet I was so consumed by my feelings for Akib that I couldn't see the importance of any other relationship. When my best friend learned about my love story, she said, "Trusting an Arab man is foolish. Don't you know how women are treated there as objects of pleasure?" But I didn't listen to her either. I couldn't believe that our nikah could happen this way. Akib had truly proven his love for me after our nikah. It was our first night talking face-to-face over a video call. Before this, we had never spoken on a video call. Akib expressed his love for me and then made a strange request that left me a little surprised. He said, "Maha, I want to see your navel once." I felt very embarrassed. Though our nikah had taken place, showing my stomach to him this way felt strange to me. He said, "Maha, what's there to be shy about? Now you are my wife, and I just want to see your navel. If you were here with me, I would have personally applied oil to your navel tonight, but for now, I want you to do it yourself." In astonishment, I asked Akib, "What does this matter about the navel oiling that you keep bringing up?" Akib replied, "When you come here, I'll apply oil to your navel myself and tell you why Arab women apply oil to their navels before meeting their husbands." Hearing such a macro statement, my cheeks turned red with embarrassment. To change the topic, I told Akib, "But I'm not an Arab woman." Akib said, "Now you will also be considered an Arab woman because you are married to an Arab man. Just come to me once." After our nikah, Akib became very restless and constantly talked about bringing me to him. 2 months after our marriage, he completed all the formalities and brought me to him. I was aware that my brother wasn't happy about this relationship. Even when he dropped me off at the airport, his attitude was off. Perhaps he was upset that I had chosen to marry a boy across 7 seas, someone he knew nothing about. My brother said, "Maha, you've made such a big decision for your life on your own. So now you must handle it wisely on your own." I told my brother not to worry about me and assured him that Akib was truly a good person. Saying goodbye to my brother, I boarded the plane filled with happiness about meeting Akib and a little fear about the future. At the airport, I saw Akib. This was an airport in another city, and from there, we had to travel to Riyadh by car. But what surprised me was Akib's behavior. I thought he would go crazy with joy upon seeing me and express his overwhelming love, but he seemed in an unusual hurry. He grabbed my hand and hurriedly took me to the car. When I tried to talk to him, he gestured for me to remain silent. Akib's behavior left me completely shocked. This wasn't the same Akib I had married or the one I had spent countless hours talking to on video calls. After Hours of her driving, he brought me to a small hotel and told me I would need to stay there for a few days. As he prepared to leave, I was heartbroken. The thought of being alone in a foreign country, in an unfamiliar hotel, was terrifying. With tears in my eyes, I asked him why he was acting this way and how long I would have to stay here by myself. Trying to calm me down, he told me not to cry and promised to come back at night. But he didn't stay long. Before leaving, he simply said that if I needed anything, I could call the hotel staff. His words felt cold, and I was left feeling completely abandoned. After he left, I spent several hours crying. I felt my brother's words might have been right. I had trusted a complete stranger and handed myself over to him. Around 2 o'clock at night, a kib returned to the hotel with a bottle of oil in his hand. He sat beside me and said, "Maha, don't ask me any questions, and I won't answer any. When the time is right, I'll explain everything to you. For now, take this bottle of oil and apply it to your navel." I took the bottle from him, but had no intention of applying the oil. Akib didn't express his emotions to me, nor did he take me to his home. I didn't know what he wanted from me, and at that moment I was entirely at his mercy, unable to ask many questions. Seeing that I was just holding the bottle without applying the oil, Akib got very angry and said, "I've come here for just a short while, so apply the oil to your navel immediately." Scared by his anger, I applied the oil to my navel right away. Akib had said that he would apply the oil himself when I came to him, but for now, that didn't happen. As soon as I applied the oil, Akib's demeanor changed completely, and he started treating me lovingly. I was surprised by the sudden change in his behavior. Within moments, all the distances between us disappeared, and Akib showered me with immense love. Even though Akib showered me with love and attention, I couldn't feel truly happy. Out of nowhere, he suddenly announced that he had to leave and left as abruptly as he had arrived. He promised to return in 2 days, but his departure filled me with worry. Before leaving, Akib gave me a mobile phone, but it had no saved contacts. Thankfully, I remembered my brother's number and decided to call him. When my brother answered, he spoke briefly, asking how I was, but his cold tone made it clear he no longer wanted any connection with me. The realization left me heartbroken. The stress, fear of being in a strange place, and overwhelming loneliness took on a toll on me, and I fell ill with a high fever. Feeling desperate, I called Akib for help. He came over with some medicine and a peculiar red gown. Handing them to me, he said, "Take this medicine and you'll feel better by tonight. Then put on this gown and get ready. I'm taking you to a gathering where we'll meet some people." I had no idea what Akib intended to do with me. My health was deteriorating, but Akib was focused on the gathering. I asked, "Whose gathering is this?" He replied, "It's a friend's wedding, and we both have to attend." Once again, he left me alone, and I comforted myself by thinking that at least I would get to meet some people as his wife. By nighttime, I started feeling better and wore the red gown he had brought. The gown was very tight-fitting and sleeveless. Along with it, he had brought several gold jewelry pieces, which I wore around my neck. At the gathering, something strange happened. Akib introduced me to some of his friends, but introduced me as his Pakistani friend, not his wife. He made no mention of our marriage. All my positive assumptions were shattered. Akib took me to meet the bride and groom. While he became engrossed in conversation with the groom, I ended up sitting with the bride. There, I was surprised to see that one of the bride's friends handed her a small bottle of oil and said something in Arabic. I couldn't understand the language, but I realized that Arab women indeed applied oil to their navels before intimacy. However, I still didn't know why this was done, nor could I ask anyone, as most people there spoke only Arabic. After the gathering, Akib and I returned to the hotel. I was extremely upset. I didn't like the fact that he hadn't introduced me as his wife to his friends. As soon as we reached the hotel, Akib began expressing his love for me, but he could tell from my attitude that I was upset. Akib picked up the bottle of oil and said, "I'll fix your mood right now," and then started applying the oil to my navel himself. Before I could ask him about the oil, there was a knock at the door. Akib opened the door, and what I saw next left me terrified. Standing at the door was the Arabic police, and they arrested Akib. They were saying something in Arabic which I couldn't understand. Akib was trying to resist them, but they took him away. A female officer gestured for me to come with her as well. I was extremely distressed and couldn't believe what was happening. Tears streamed down my face and I thought about home. At the police station, they brought in an Arabic-speaking officer to communicate with me. What he told me left me completely stunned. Akib's father had filed a gas theft complaint against him, accusing him of stealing a significant amount of gold jewelry from their shop. To my shock, the stolen jewelry was found among my belongings, the same pieces Akib had given me to wear with the red gown. I was utterly confused. Why would Akib, who owned gold shops, steal jewelry and involve me in this mess? Nothing made sense anymore. After a long investigation, the police released Akib. I couldn't understand what the conversation was between them, but Akib seemed very worried. When I angrily asked him why he had been arrested, he said, "This is all because of you." His words left me stunned. Why was he blaming me for his arrest? Akib explained that his parents were against our marriage and wanted him to marry an Arab girl. He had secretly married me against their wishes without informing his parents. He had made all the arrangements and brought me here. However, before I arrived, his parents became suspicious. They warned him that if he brought me home, they would disown him and strip him of his inheritance. To avoid this, Akib had put me up in a hotel and acted as though he hadn't gone to the airport to receive me. At the same time, he was worried about me and kept visiting me briefly. Akib didn't tell me this earlier because he didn't want me to feel stressed. When I fell sick, he thought taking me to his friend's wedding would cheer me up. Since I needed jewelry for the occasion and his parents were keeping an eye on him, he secretly took some from the shop. When his father found out, he filed a theft report. In anger, Akib said he would slowly convince his parents about our relationship, but that I would have to stay in the hotel for a while and support him. Hearing this, I felt ashamed. I had been thinking all kinds of negative thoughts about him while he was dealing with so much pressure because of me. Despite his parents' strong opposition, he hadn't abandoned me. I told Akib not to worry and that I was ready to support him in every way. Hearing this, Akib seemed relieved and said, "Now go and bring me the bottle of oil. I'll apply it to your navel myself." I brought the bottle of oil but asked, "First, tell me why Arab women apply this oil to their navels." Akib laid me down and started applying the oil to my navel himself, saying, "This oil works like a magical remedy. When applied to on the navel, Arab women use it before intimacy because it has many benefits. Many female health issues are naturally resolved by applying this oil to the navel. It also helps women conceive easily. A special type of herb is added to this oil, and it is said that children born after using this oil are very intelligent. However, the herbs used in this oil are found only in this region. When I asked you and Yuri's sisters-in-law about applying oil, I realized this practice is unique to Arab women. I want us to have children as soon as possible so that my parents will be more likely to accept you. I know that once we have children, my parents will willingly embrace you." When Akib explained, I was amazed. It reminded me of something my mother used to do. She would apply oil to my nephew's navel. After her passing, I hadn't seen anyone continue the practice. Now, I realized that these old traditions often have real benefits. The navel is connected to the entire body, and taking care of it, like applying oil, can help with various health issues naturally. Akib himself applied oil to my navel, showing his deep affection for me. In that moment, I truly felt his love for the first time. Now that I knew the full truth about him, I hoped his parents would accept me soon so we could start a happy life together.